Welcome to the Matcha Guardians podcast, brought to you by Matcha.com. Here, we focus on the biggest trending health topics of our time, featuring the greatest and upcoming wellness advocates. Now, here are the Matcha Guardians. Licensed dietitian Diana Weil and medical journalist Alara Hadjivateris.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Matcha Guardians.
I am so excited for our guest today. It is someone who I have known for a long time and I have looked up to for many years. Today we have Karen Malkin on our podcast. She has a Master's of Arts in Health and Wellness Coaching from the Maryland University of Integrative Health and is a certified integrative health coach through the University of Arizona Center for Integrative Medicine. She's also a certified Apollo Health coach, and she specializes in cognitive decline. She is a board-certified holistic health counselor with the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. She has an extensive background and many certifications and degrees, including in eating psychology and precision medicine. She's also a board member of the Environmental Working Group and serves on the Philanthropic Council for Northwestern Memorial Hospital Center for Integrative Medicine and Wellness. That is a mouthful. She's a thought leader in the field. She has contributed to integrativepractitioner.com, authored My Wellness Coach app, and has been featured in various health publications. Karen, we are so excited to have you here and learn from your wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
So, Karen, I don't know too much about your history. I know that you and Diane have a bit more history than we do. So how did you kind of get into health coaching? I know it's a lot more than just necessarily getting the degree. What led you there?
From a very young age, I've always had an interest for vitality, feeling vital, and really learned the connection between mind, body, what I eat, how I feel, how I moved my body, how I felt, and just really learned that whole mind-body connection and to really pay attention to it. And so my teenage years were all about movement and healthy eating. And I have 4 sons. My youngest son yesterday said to me that he seems to think that I have more energy than all 4 of them combined. And I think I crave that. I really desire feeling great in my body.
Okay, I just have to pause. I want to talk about all the health stuff, but Alara and I both have boys. And when I found out that I was having a boy, immediately I panicked because just of how busy they are. You have 4 of them and you are here, you survived. Do you have any advice for the energy that's required to raise 4 boys?
I loved it. I would have had a 5th. I had twins, and then 18 months later, I had another one, and then 3 years later, another one. They're very physical. So balls are flying, running around. It was just a very physical experience with the 4 of them. And that's kind of just the way I am. And they're so easy. Emotionally, they're much easier, I think, than girls. And they love their mommies. And my boys are so close to each other. I'm just so grateful.
I'm 43 and I still love my mom very much. And there were definitely a lot of actions between my brother and I. We were 2 boys growing up in the same house. So I agree with everything you're saying, Karen.
That makes me happy to know.
So not only did you have 4 boys, but you had twins. Can we just pause to appreciate
Take a moment of appreciation for Karen.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've blocked it out, or do you remember that time, the first year with the twins?
I sort of didn't know any different. I was nursing them both. I'd pump and give them a bottle. The other one was on the breast. We have a large family, and, my memories are having my family surrounding me all the time, and helping. And I had a lot of help. I had my mom around. I had my mother-in-law. I had my other mother-in-law around, and I just, cousins. I feel like I had a lot of help with the twins. It was hard, but I kind of didn't know any different. And then when I had Danny, it was easy.
So now are you in the Chicago area? Are you in Chicago?
Yes, I'm in the suburbs of Chicago, and I raised my 4 sons here.
And now do you have a lot of your extended family still in the area?
I do. My siblings are here. My parents are no longer with us, and I'm sure we'll get to talk about that today. But my in-laws are here, although they do spend the winters in Palm Springs, California. And we winter in Tucson, which is where I got to get connected to the Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine. Yeah.
Yes, I'm curious about that. Did you always know about integrative medicine, or what was your journey into integrative medicine?
So because of this mind-body connection that I seem to have always felt that I had. I really always saw more natural, holistic providers, but they were integrative medicine physicians who spoke about nutrition, who spoke about stress and sleep and exercise and what feeds your soul and your mental health. Whereas more of the conventional practitioners that I would see, and I still do see for my annual, I really mostly see all my integrative practitioners, it's symptom management. So you come with a complaint and they'll give you a medicine for that complaint and for that symptom. And for me, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a more natural way. And, integrative medicine is still medicine. It just really is under the premise that we work on the least invasive methods first to help heal your condition. And it's also under the premise that the body has its natural ability to heal itself. And I do believe that if we just give it a chance. I mean, Dr. Weil's been talking about this since the 70s. What he wrote in the 70s still stands true today and is still what he's teaching with all of his practitioners and in the fellowship. So, and it's kind of coming full circle now. And I think what I'm really inspired to know is that integrative medicine is becoming good medicine. And more conventional Western medicine practitioners are beginning to realize, and many of them just through their own N of one, personal experience from their own health conditions, is that they start to realize that when they do look at these areas of health, your nutrition, exercise, sleep, especially your relationships, the environment, so many of these neurological conditions are from environmental toxins. And, we really need to look at that to pay attention to our overall wellness and health.
Guys, I'm going to just throw in a curveball right here, but you just made me think of it, Karen. What is your opinion on how Wi-Fi signals might impact people's health? I keep seeing this all over the place, and I'm finding myself, should I have a little timer on my Wi-Fi router and have it be turning off at night? Am I frying my baby's brain? I, of course, don't believe everything I see on TikTok and Instagram. There's a lot of fear-mongering, but...
There is a lot of fear-mongering. We don't have enough evidence to necessarily know. But there are people that are more sensitive to EMFs. I mean, it's just a fact. And if you can turn off your router at 10 o'clock at night and have it turn back on again at 6 in the morning, I think if you could do it, I would highly recommend it.
Okay.
And
so
Karen, when you say EMFs, you mean what? Electromagnetic fields, right?
Yes. This is why I'm wearing my wired headphones, because minimizing Bluetooth. I'm not saying it's not perfect, but when I can, I'll use wired. When I can, I certainly I don't put my phone on my body. Every inch away from your body that the cell phone is going to dramatically reduce your exposure. So why not do it?
I'm sold. I'm going to get my little timer to put on my router then.
And we do have a lot more increases in, brain cancers and, I can't believe putting your cell phone to your head can be healthy.
I agree with that.
When your cell phone has, the least bars, when you're 3 bars, you've got good service. When it's only 1 bar, your phone's got to work really hard to make that connection. So I tend to just avoid the call if it's only 1 bar.
Karen, one of the ways that we got connected was that you were the first person that I knew who was a health coach. And I came to you with kind of looking for career advice. And I feel like you became a health coach before the rest of the world really even knew what health coaching was. Was it a scary dive into the health coaching, or were you just convinced that this was the way of the future? I'm curious, just you did it before it became cool, kind of.
Well, I think what really inspired me with health coaching is that it helps people create behavior change, right? So you could go to your practitioner and it'll be more of a directive approach to say to you, okay, you want to get your lipids down? Lose 20 pounds, or your sugars are too high, get your A1C down to 5.3, you're at 6.0, you got to cut back on your sugar, but people don't know how to do it. You can say, this is what you need to do, but what a health coach does is a health coach will teach you how to do it. And it's a partnership. So you're the expert, not me. I'm the guide on the side. I'm trained in motivational interviewing, which is going to help you evoke from within yourself what it is that you're really wanting to do. And it starts with goal setting. We'll start with a vision map where I might ask you, okay, Diana, wave your magic wand. How do you want your life to be in 3 months, 6 months? How do you want to feel? Because unless we can articulate where we want to go, it's hard to get there. It's kind of like you have a map, you're in the mall, you're here, but you want to go there. Well, how am I going to get there? And that's what coaching does, is it helps you get to where you want to go by making small changes.
Yeah, I'm all about that. And in 3 months, I would like to be sleeping. That's my goal.
Okay, so we'll have to talk about small steps
Wishful
that you can
thinking,
take
Diana.
to help,
Wishful
help you get
thinking.
some more minutes of sleep.
Do you feel like, I feel like coaching as a business has kind of boomed, and now there's coaches for everything. There's sleep coaches and parent coaches and health coaches and business coaches. Do you feel like we're doing a good job by having coaches for all these different things? Or do you think that there's any aspect of it that's like, I don't know if that's helpful?
Oh, I love coaching. I think it's fabulous. They have to be coaches that are qualified and they know motivational interviewing. They understand the guidelines of coaching to create a very safe space for the client, to make sure that you understand as a coach biases. There's ethical considerations, there's cultural considerations. So with proper training, I think coaching's fabulous. I think it's really going to help a lot of people create behavior change. I really do.
Does anyone feel, at least the perspective that my husband brings into the picture is, why do you need to hire a health coach, Alara? Like, you have the internet, you are a researcher in health and wellness. Like, can't you just get it together and do it yourself? Can't you just come up with the goals 3 months from now? So at least that's something I hear from my spouse a lot. And I don't know if any of you feel the same way, but there's a feeling of like, why can't I just figure it out myself? Isn't that the point? Like, Isn't that why I selected my partner? Like, because maybe he's going to complement where I fall short and help me like set and reach these new goals. And like, has there ever been a situation, Karen, where you as a health coach have had to deal with, say, a not so happy spouse kind of saying, hey, you're kind of entering my turf here. Like, I'm supposed to be this person's main guiding light, or I'm supposed to be their best friend and their life coach. And then you're kind of coming in here into my space. Have you ran into that at all with clients?
I love support. And one of the questions I ask my clients is, who's your support system? Who are the people that are going to stretch you, that are going to support you? I really appreciate that. And I welcome that, because I think we all need our people. I mean, clearly the two of you, I listened to your relationship podcast, like you have each other, you support each other, you stretch each other, you call each other out on stuff. We need those people in our life. And for me, I listen, I ask powerful questions, and I try to evoke from within what it is that you really already know as the expert. So sometimes we get in our own way. You know what to do. We all know what to do, right? It's, meet with a client around weight loss. Like, they know they should be eating more vegetables. They know they should be drinking more water. How am I getting in my own way? And that's where we have conversations around, maybe there might be another time in your life that you have overcome this obstacle. And how can we pull on those character strengths from then and apply it to now? So it's really interesting because you can learn a lot about yourself. So I really do welcome as many, I welcome the support system. I really do.
One of the things that you brought up earlier is sort of the ethical implications of being a coach. And I feel like because there are so many coaches that are, life coaches and business coaches, and a doctor has very clear, they have to follow HIPAA, whereas a health coach or a coach doesn't necessarily have very strict, this is how we behave in the field. What are some of the ethical implications, or, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to be a coach around how to be an ethical health coach?
Well, we do learn ethics in our training. And so there is a national board exam, and that's from National Board Health and Wellness Coaches, that I highly recommend, if you're going to use a coach in the health coach world, that you hire a health coach that is national board certified, because we do go through the ethics that's talking about, client confidentiality, creating a safe space, non-judgmental, and really get clear around our own biases, because we all have biases. It's almost impossible to be completely unbiased, but understanding the biases, also understanding some of the cultural differences that we have. And we have to take all of that into consideration when we are prioritizing that. You know, some of our clients don't have the same type of education that we have. And we really want to be honest. We want to lead with integrity, and we want to help empower the client. And it's also very important to keep our professional boundaries as well. So, you know, informed consent, we understand our scope of practice. You know, I'm a health coach, I'm not a psychologist, and there's a difference. And I will share that with my clients. And that with health coaching, we start with where we are today and where we want to be. I don't go back doing psychotherapy. That would be for a therapist. And there's, you know, great value in a therapist as well, but it's different with coaching.
So I would love having lots of coaches in my life.
Me too.
But unfortunately, I would love it. I would love it. I would love to have my sleep coach, my health coach, you know, like everything. I would take all the coaches in the world. I love it. I'm a golden retriever. I love positive feedback. I love people just cheering me on. That's what I need in my life. Now, what about this scenario? Because of the budget, I have to choose physical trainer or health coach. What's the argument for, you know, 3 simple things that come to mind for why go with the health coach over the physical trainer in the example of, say, you know, a woman who's postpartum?
Well, okay, I'll say it depends. You know, what is your goal? Why do you want to hire a health coach postpartum?
To feel like myself again and feel like my body is mine again.
Okay, say more about that.
I think one of the things I really struggled with through the whole pregnancy journey is how much weight I gained and how different my body felt afterwards, because that's always been something that I've really taken ownership of and a lot of pride. You know, throughout my life, I'm that person that people would, oh, hey, you know, what do you do for your arms? You know, like, what do you do to stay in shape? I've not been asked that question for several months. Surprising, I know. So, and I think that, you know, I'm running on a short amount of sleep. My leash is tight as far as how much time I have per day to kind of dedicate to myself and not just to my son or my husband or the house or work. So it's about, I don't know, just being better about carving out my me time and in a productive way, not just like, oh, I'm going to go and get, you know, my nails done, or I'm going to go and get my hair cut, but something that's a bit more, has longevity and builds consistency.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing you say is that you put on a lot of weight during pregnancy. You don't feel good in your body right now. You're finding that there's not a lot of time for you. And you kind of like to prioritize a little bit of self-care right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Diana, can you relate to that as well?
Oh, I was like, oh, she's really speaking to me there.
I've been nodding this whole
I thought I would
time.
come up
For
with
those of you listening
something
to the audio
we could-
version, Diana's been nodding the whole time while Laura's been
yes,
speaking.
yes, Karen, you get it.
So,
You get it.
know, if
But
you
it's
did-
basic. It's a basic thing. It goes back to what you were saying. Like, people know, you know, you go to, you know, lose 20 pounds, like eat healthier. It's like, we know all these things. Like, I know I should get up or be doing a workout while the baby's sleeping. Easier said than done. Easier said than done.
Yeah, and I want to encourage you to be careful of like shoulds and should nots, and really think about what's one thing that you can do. So let's have a little coaching session here. Where would you want to start?
I've been very into playing tennis since being postpartum. I love it. My husband does not share the same passion for tennis that I do. So if he had it his way, I'd be going to the CrossFit gym with him, or he'd be paying for a personal trainer. He's like, he has no problem spending money on that. But spending money on more than, you know, a private tennis lesson once or twice a week, the red flags go up. Like, no, I don't want to pay for that. So that's, and he would much rather say, oh, you know, you can go out and, you know, go for a run. That's kind of the same thing as tennis. And for me, it's not. I kind of like this idea that I'm learning this new skill. It kind of tricks you into it being, it's about more than just, right, breaking a sweat and losing weight. It's about your state of mind. And I used to be a competitive athlete, so I just feel like tennis for me has unlocked that.
How you want to improve your fitness, how is that conflicting with how your husband values fitness and his overall health? And how might that be getting in the way of you taking that next step?
I think it has to do with like logistics, proximity. So for me, tennis, it's a 5-minute drive from the house. For CrossFit, that's a 25-minute drive from the house. And it's just like I start doing mom math in my head and thinking, okay, with this, I can go. I'm back, boom, boom, hour and a half. I have my me time versus the CrossFit. I'm kind of losing 2.5 hours. It's a 2.5 hour time slot. I just do not have the time for that. That's what I'm telling myself, at least, right? That's the conversation I'm having. I also, this is being said, I have a basement with a gym and weights that I could easily use. But my husband loves the camaraderie of us going to the CrossFit gym together, which Diana, you can relate to that. You and Harley love working out together too.
So he likes the connection for the two of you.
He loves the connection and he misses it. And I'm like, well, just come play tennis with me, which he has started to do from time to time. So I think it's, a process. But
there's a bit of a conflict there.
Yeah.
With you really wanting to have the 10-minute drive there and back, get it done, be home for the baby.
I have a proximity thing where it's like, God forbid anything happens. I like
being close,
which I don't know. Maybe does that go away with time, Karen?
I don't think so. I don't think so. You always want to know that they can reach you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's that mentality. I just know that when I'm in a CrossFit with weights, I'm like, I'm not thinking about my cell phone. I'm not. Versus tennis is a bit more, you'll hear the phone ringing.
And maybe that will evolve over time. You are a new mom.
Exactly. Yeah. So part of me also understands this is kind of just like the name of the game that I got myself into. So
what's your current fitness schedule today?
Current fitness schedule today is tennis usually twice a week for an hour and a half. I'll do yoga at least once a week. And then I try and go to at least one CrossFit class. And I'm walking at least 90 minutes a day.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with that?
Like a 4, because I'm a 2-stroke engine. I need 3 to 4 hours a day.
Got it. Okay.
I think my son's going to catch up with me is what I'm hoping now because he's starting to walk. So I think that might help me, channel some energy.
Move a little more.
Yeah.
Where would you like to be on a scale from 1 to 10, given that you have a new baby?
I'd like to be on a scale. I'd like to weigh 100, and I'd like to weigh what I wore. We're talking about this. We need to expand that scale spectrum. I think I'd like to be at a 7. I think a 7 feels good, and also like I can maintain that, and I'm not just gonna fall off the wagon if I get sick or hurt or he has a sleep regression.
So what would it take for you to get from a 4 to a 7?
I just have to commit. I just kind of have to force myself to stick to the things I want to do. That's as simple as that. Like you're saying, goal setting. I have goals in mind and I just have to reach them.
What does that look like?
I like to write things down. I'm a list writer. So I'll probably, write down my list of the 5 things I'd like to do for the day and include them as one of the 5 things and make sure I check that off my list. And check it off earlier in the day rather than later in the day because we all know what happens as the day goes on. It snowballs. And if you don't, at least for me, sometimes if I don't do it the first half, I'm not going to do it the second half of the day.
So you would want to do something that would be part of your list that would be in the first half of the day? Something
first half
physical?
Of the day. Yes, something physical.
And what would that look like?
Just be able to go to a yoga class in the morning, like a hot yoga class, and just be around different people. Just all together, breathing, sweating. That to me is nice. Like I love group fitness. I was a yoga instructor. So I want to get back into building my self-practice so then I can start teaching again. And I think that will help things fall into place as well.
And when is hot yoga offered?
It's offered in the mornings, midday, and early evenings, which early evenings are out because I'm bedtime routine master. And then early mornings have been tough because we've been going through sleep regression and he's been very mommy. So I have the guilt where I don't want to leave him. I probably could and he'd be fine, right? With my husband. And then midday, it's usually when I'm working or I have calls because I'm working with the West Coast. These are the excuses they make.
Yeah. I mean, so on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is it for you to get to yoga in the mornings?
It's like a 2 because I'm like...
It's a 2.
I start being like, well, I can do yoga here. But that's when I'm ranking it. But maybe it should have a higher value. I don't value my stuff enough.
Well, I think it's what it is, for you. And with coaching, we talk about, how important is this behavior change? So this behavior change that you're saying you want to make is to exercise in the mornings.
Get up and exercise in the mornings.
Do something.
Yeah. Before my husband leaves for work, before, anything gets started.
So I'm helping you articulate what that would look like. Because unless you get a clear vision of what that's going to look like and understand how important is this for me on a scale of 1 to 10, because if it's a 2, it's not happening. right? And
Which
then
is,
also you have to look at how likely is this to happen. And, it sounds like, well, it's probably not likely because of the sleep regression currently that's going on.
Yeah.
So, maybe this is not a realistic goal. So, I'm trying to help you try to find a realistic goal that's going to help you move the needle forward so that you can increase your fitness, so you can feel better in your body, you can lose some of the baby weight, and you'll be happy.
Yeah. I love that. Well, there you go. Example of
a coaching session.
I think that was helpful for anyone who wants to be a coach because, Karen, you asked such good questions. And for anyone who is curious about coaching, because I think that they can ask themselves, what are my answers to those questions? And would it be helpful for someone to ask me those and hold me accountable and help me figure out a plan? So I actually really lived that.
I think it's good too, because you've got some people sometimes have preconceived notions about coaching. And it was nice to kind of go under the hood a little bit with Karen there. So to take her inside a session and what that might look like in terms of question and answer and feedback. I think that was really helpful too.
I love, Karen, when I would say something, you'd say, well, so probably what you actually mean to say is that, which is exactly that. I think that we weave these narratives in our minds that, once again, like everything, like all the answers are inside. It's just that we kind of create these barriers and obstacles within our own minds.
We do. And what we didn't do is start with creating your vision. I mean, I sort of hear the vision from you with your priority being your baby. I typically will start our session with, what is most important to you in your life? How do you want to show up? What are you most proud of? You might be most proud of being a mom. How do you want to be remembered? Why do you want your health? What does self-care mean to you? What does that look like? And it's really amazing when I work with my clients and they talk about their vision and the people and the things that are most important to them. And then we make these day-to-day choices that aren't in alignment with the big picture. And I did this, it was really powerful during my coaching training with my coaching team, is because what I thought I was looking for and the choices I was making were not in alignment with what was most important to me and my values. We tend to make these choices that aren't really going to get you where you want to go. And so when we can articulate that, and just keep tie back to the vision. And that's where I keep reminding them, I know the vision, let's talk about it. How does that tie to that? That really also inspires people to just make those different choices. Maybe what you want to do and currently is really important to you to, get that buff body back and exercise as much as you can, but, maybe deep down, and I don't want to speak for you, but if that baby is number one and you don't want to leave in the morning because there's sleep issues and you can leave him with your husband, right? You could easily leave him with somebody who loves him just as much as you do, right? But
does he though? Does he? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. It's probably true.
Karen, I know that you've worked with a lot of athletes. Obviously, you just gave us such a beautiful example of traditional health coaching with more weight loss, which I'm sure a lot of people are, very grateful for. But I also know that you have gotten really into brain health, and that's definitely something that I want to touch on with you. Can you share with us a little bit about your journey into brain health and cognitive functioning?
I lost my father to complications of Alzheimer's disease. And I lost my mom to lung cancer. And, that really, both of them really inspired me to research and get into more integrative approaches to, healing. So Dr. Dale Bredesen, I heard him speak actually at one of the nutrition conferences from the Andrew Weil Center of Integrative Medicine back in 2017, was really intrigued by his research in lifestyle strategies to help prevent and reverse mild cognitive impairment and even Alzheimer's disease. So I started to follow him, and I also heard him speak at other conferences. I really wanted to hire him to be my own practitioner because of my dad's Alzheimer's disease. I wanted to help prevent, but at the time, he wasn't really seeing clients. So I decided to become a practitioner. And I spent a couple years doing the Recode 1.0 and 2.0 training. And it's a lifestyle approach to helping really improve your brain health and slow the progression of cognitive decline. His name is Dr. Dale Bredesen. He's authored at least 3 books. One is called The End of Alzheimer's. His company that he's the chief scientific officer for is called Apollo Health. And his protocol is called Recode and Precode. Recode is reversing cognitive decline, and Precode is prevention of cognitive decline. What that is you sign up online at Apollo Health, you become a member, they send you a prescription to Quest Labs for a blood draw. There's probably 15 tubes of blood that they're going to draw so they can get a lot of biomarkers on you, in addition to your ApoE4 status. ApoE4 is a gene that you can get a copy from your mom, a copy from your dad. You have 2 copies of your genetics. And the ApoE4 impacts lipid metabolism, but it also increases your risk for Alzheimer's disease. With the Apollo Health, you also take a cognitive test that can show you where you are right now. In addition to having your care partner or your significant other do a questionnaire, there's a very comprehensive health intake, starting from were you delivered early, sleep apnea, do you snore, what's your environmental exposure, insulin resistance. There's so many questions. And then from that information, Apollo Health is going to spit out about a 54 to 58 page report, and that's called your Recode or Precode report. The client gets it, complete overwhelm, right? So what I do as a coach is I walk them through that Recode report, and he categorizes it, red, yellow, green. The red is where you need to start now. And then the green area is kind of like you're in good shape. And my clients are doing so well. Pretty much all of them are really kind of all in with the behavior change. They are inspired to do the program. Categories that he divides you into is inflammation, which could be leaky gut or infections, the ApoE4 status. There's a glycotoxicity, which is insulin resistance. Your brain feeds on either ketones or glucose, and ketones are a more efficient fuel source for your brain. So depending on, your glucose, your blood sugar, your A1C, we really have to get that in place so that we can help support a healthy brain. And then there's trophic loss, which is nutrient loss, and your vitamin D levels. Toxicity is another one. A lot of my clients have toxic-related dementia. It's very difficult you have to play detective, because it could be, exposure to heavy metals, inorganic, organic mercury, could be from your fish, could be in the mercury amalgam fillings. So he often recommends taking those out. There's Lyme biotoxins that you could be exposed to with these infections. Mold is a big one, checking their home for mold. Organic chemicals, VOCs, toluene, benzene. Then there's vascular dementia, which is your blood flow, and that's your lipids, your cardiovascular health, and also sleep apnea is a big one, and your oxygen saturation. So we talk about how you're sleeping, getting maybe an oximeter, potentially doing an overnight sleep study if there's snoring involved. It's just, there's a lot of questions you have to ask, and you have a lot of digging. And then there's trauma, and that could be, trauma to the head, like concussions. I've had 2 concussions already from bike accidents. And then you have athletes, football players, and people have car accidents. And so, that could be another contributing factor. And so with the protocol, we start with recommendations we start with nutrition, and he calls it KetoFlex 12-3. You want to get into a modified ketogenic state. So that would mean eating dinner early, no food within 3 hours of going to bed, and then having a 12-hour overnight fast. If you do have a copy or 2 copies of ApoE4, Dr. Bredesen does recommend a 14 to 16-hour overnight fast to really get those sugars intact. And we'll talk about exercise, because exercise is powerful for brain health, mental health, because cardiovascular exercise raises BDNF, it's brain-derived neurotrophic factor, like neurons. It's fires the neurons in the brain. You probably know, I'm sure you both know full on, because you're both really passionate about exercise, that how good you feel after you're exercising. And then there's strength training, which helps with executive functioning and also supports muscle and bone. which is, very important for your brain health. And then there's sleep. I'm wearing my Oura Ring. Do you guys wear sleep tracking devices?
I do. I have the Polar Ignite watch, but I
Yeah.
take it off a lot when I'm around with the baby, but I put it on at night.
Yeah. And so, looking at your sleep and your deep sleep, which is your most restorative sleep, and your REM sleep, which is when your brain's doing all the creative thinking, and, you want enough quantity of sleep as well. And it really plays an impact on your cognition. And then stress elevates cortisol, insulin tracks cortisol, and, really making sure that we're doing our deep breathing and we're really trying to manage our stress. And then there's brain stimulation, which is like brain games. There's an app called Brain HQ. And that is a lot of research behind it. And there's a lot of different areas of the app to work on, between visual processing, memory consolidation, word retrieval, visual spacing. I mean, there's just so many categories. And then detoxification is a big one, because if we do have exposure to toxins, we have to talk about a detoxification protocol through sweating, potential supplements that Dr. Bredesen is recommending, glutathione. I mean, it's very comprehensive. And then there's supplements to fill the nutrient voids.
I have to jump in real quick. You mentioned that Brain HQ app, Karen. My wife and I make it a point to do the New York Times crossword puzzle daily, every night on the iPad, because we just want to, and we figure every little bit of brain stimulation at night helps, especially after working all day. Like, we're trying to keep ourselves sharp. It's much smaller than what you're talking about, but is that a good piece of it, a good idea?
Yes, I absolutely love that. That's great. And do things that you love.
Yeah, we like doing the crossword together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Crossword Wordle. You guys Wordlers?
Yeah.
She had like a year streak and she lost it, and she's like, forget it.
Oh, no.
I understand that feeling. Yeah. It's just not the same. When you use the
Competitive like
second
you,
device.
Laura.
Yeah. You just got to give it up then.
Okay. Wow, Karen. That was, even for someone who is very invested in health, that's a lot. And that can feel really overwhelming. And I know that this is the whole piece of the health coaching, right? Of breaking this down, making it feel less intimidating for someone like Alara and I, who are getting not a lot of sleep. We don't have a lot of time. We've got new babies. Is there, what is something that someone who, isn't 50, 60, 70, who's really focused on brain health, but wants to support brain health as we age, but has a new baby, what advice would you give us?
And we feel dumb. We feel dumb and forgetful. I go into so many rooms daily forgetting why I went there.
So stupid. We're so stupid.
So
right
dumb.
now.
Very dumb.
Understanding that you're overwhelmed and that there's a lot that you're thinking about, right? So you do know where you are and what's going on. But, minimizing sugar, because sugar is not good for the brain. A little bit here and there, along with some fats or along with a meal. But, sugar on an empty stomach is going to really spike blood sugar. So you want to make sure that and I'm sure they are at your age, but get your annual labs. Make sure that your fasting glucose is at a good level. Get your lipids. Do an advanced lipid panel. Get a baseline. Strength train. Exercise. Fires the neurons. Helps with executive functioning.
Karen, are you saying my husband's right, saying I need to do strength training?
Yes,
Somehow
I do.
He's right.
You can be doing squats with your son, right?
Yeah,
so you
I
could
do
be
that
doing some
sometimes.
research.
I do at least 50 a day. But.
Yeah, and you've got your gym in the basement. But it sounds like he wants to connect with you. You have a new baby.
Yeah.
He's not your primary focus anymore. That doesn't feel good for him.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Peter to listen to this episode and know that he was.
He's gonna be like, I was right. See, I was right. That's like, I was gonna tell you guys, I'm really motivated right after this podcast. I hate running, but I'm like, maybe I'll go for a run. And then I'm not going to tell my husband, because then he'll be like, I was right.
That's right.
Small step, small bites of, get out there and run for the 20 minutes. Don't make it an hour and a half, an unrealistic goal that you'll feel maybe, guilty that you left for so long. Getting the sleep, minimizing alcohol. Alcohol does not serve us with brain health. Focusing on some of your stress reduction and, maintaining healthy levels of vitamin D is important. And healthy relationships and staying connected. The two of you, you're significant. I know, Diana, you're totally in love with Harley. And that's so healthy for the brain. And then doing some of these brain games. And your podcast is, using your brain. So you're really doing pretty much You're doing it already.
We're doing as much as we can, Diana, and
You
this
are.
is what we got.
You
Oh my
are.
God, this is why we need John to step in and ask questions when we're too dumb to do it.
But she's noticed a decline since...
I will say, I cannot underscore enough what Karen said a moment ago about alcohol. I'm a few years older than Ilara and Diana. I'm in my 40s. And the effect that alcohol had on me at 40 and plus, and I'm talking like one beer with dinner, it makes such a difference. I started drinking non-alcoholic beer. If I want to have a beer, occasionally I will have a cocktail or go out, but I have cut my alcohol intake so far back. And by the way, I lived in New Orleans for 3 years. I have cut my alcohol intake so much that it has made such a difference in so many areas of my life, Karen.
So you notice that.
I physically,
right?
yes.
As you got a little bit older, you're noticing that like alcohol's not serving me anymore. I noticed it too. And my sleep, when I look at my Oura ring, I mean, my deep sleep tanks when I'm drinking. And then I get up in the morning and say, I'm not doing that again. And then, of course, sometimes I go and do it again.
Of course.
But it's more with intention. I know I'm going to a wedding. I'm going to drink. I know I'm not going to sleep well, but I'm owning it, right? I'm not being the victim of, oh, this happened again.
And we've talked about alcohol in previous episodes of the podcast. I've had, the amount of time it takes to cycle through your system. If I have a drink with dinner, I don't sleep well that night. But if I wanted to have a beer watching Sunday football at 1 o'clock, it's usually cleared my system by the time I go to bed later that night.
Yeah, that's right. You'll notice that the earlier you have that alcohol, the better you're going to sleep because of those 3-4 hours to clear your liver and clear your system. That is very true.
Karen, do you recommend that pretty much everyone across the board is on a modified ketogenic diet?
No, not at all, especially if you don't have a high enough BMI. I'm not on a modified ketogenic diet, and I mostly practice the Bredesen protocol.
Okay.
So, no, I do not. But for thinking clearly, and if you want to improve your cognition, you can do an experiment. Try it. Try eating early, doing that 12-hour overnight fast, and notice if you feel better. But if you're not complaining about anything, whatever you're doing is working for you, right? That's why there's no like one size fits all for anybody. With the Bredesen protocol, with cognitive impairment, yes, this has been proven to really help, improve cognition in people that are really not thinking clearly.
I really have to stop grabbing one of the candy bars we have set aside for Halloween at 9 o'clock at night when I want a quick snack. We're recording this in early October, and after dinner, it's an hour before bed, and I'm like, oh, let me grab one of those little mini Nestle Crunches. You've given me like 4 reasons to stop doing that.
Well, you can ask yourself, is this serving me? Because sometimes going out for an ice cream cone with your child or your best friend, it's like your partner, that's really fun, and it's connection.
Fair.
And then it's, yes, this is serving me. An hour before bed, the chocolate bar might not serve you because you might not sleep. Your sleep might be impaired from it. So it's not a matter of like good or bad. I try to like not think good, bad, but is this helpful or not helpful for me? And then it takes the guilt out of it. Think about, is this helpful or not helpful?
So another thing that you talk a lot about, and this is, do I get so overwhelmed with this, are the toxins in our home and environment. And a lot of it feels like I just have zero control over, and then I spiral because, it's like...
You two did a whole episode about this.
We did a whole... I know, and I still am so stressed out about it. Help us, Karen. Help us.
I actually wrote a program called Toxin Takedown. It's a 14-day program, give you 1 tip each day to help reduce your environmental load. As you know, I'm on the board of the Environmental Working Group, and we are surrounded by toxins everywhere. And just being aware of the air that we're breathing, and that's indoor and outdoor, because oftentimes indoor air quality is so much worse than outdoor air. So like open up your windows. What we're ingesting, what we're eating, what we're drinking. So clean filtered water. I recommend everybody get a water purification system. And you can, in order to decide what water purifier you should be getting, you want to know what's in your water, right? Just like we talked about, where do you want to go? Where are you right now? Go to the EWG website, ewg.org/tapwater database. Key in your zip code. EWG is going to give you all the contaminants that your municipality has. And they're going to tell you the health condition that's associated with that contaminant, which could freak you out a little bit. But they're also going to give you a filter recommendation that will take out that and remove that contaminant. So there's a lot you can do. And there's a lot of things we can do in addition, we can't control the environment, right? We can't control the pollution, but we can control what we're drinking. We can control what we're eating. Their EWG also puts out a list called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And the Dirty Dozen is the 12 most highly contaminated produce items. And strawberries have been number one. I don't remember when they haven't been number one. Okay. And that would mean the number of pesticides that are used on a strawberry and the concentration of the pesticide. So for me, I just don't eat strawberries out unless I know they're organic, which in Chicago, they're not organic. So I will buy organic I just buy organic for everything, but for sure, I recommend with my clients, use that Dirty Dozen. They can send you a little card, put it in your wallet, buy organic of those 12 items. And then there's a Clean 15. They give you, 15 items that all you have to do is wash them and they're safe.
Karen, I just went to your website, the ewg.org/tapwater, and keyed in my zip code. And I'm here in Michigan by the Great Lakes, and in my town, the water is known as pretty good. And I just went, didn't know about that one. So again, that website is ewg.org/tapwater. Very insightful.
Yes. Pesticides that are sprayed on lawns and parks. You taking your babies to the park. Take your shoes off when you get in, because babies are crawling on the ground, right? Toddlers and babies are on the ground. And if you're walking with your street shoes on, then those contaminants are on your floor. So again, a really small change is just take your shoes off. That's a huge upgrade.
That's another thing you and my husband agree on, Karen. Shoes off in the house.
I like him. He's
a great, I love him. Love of my life.
Yeah,
love that guy. He's my better half, clearly.
We have marital issues because my husband wants carpeting everywhere and I want carpeting nowhere, right?
I hate carpet. It's so dirty.
So it's gross. Yeah, so I have to
It's
negotiate.
comfortable.
It's comfortable. So we put it in the bedrooms, take your shoes off. And the other thing is to look at is like your ductwork. I don't know if you're in rentals or if you own your home, but make sure that you have your ducts cleaned.
I finally went through this because I was doing a bunch of things to get the house baby ready. And I was very disturbed at the state of my ducts.
Yes.
And I didn't realize they hadn't been cleaned for years.
Yes. And some HVAC companies, which this also happened with me, when I would call for my annual duct cleaning, the response by them was, we just do a partial duct cleaning, Karen. You didn't say you wanted a full duct cleaning. I'm thinking, I didn't even know there was a difference. I just asked for duct cleaning. So pay attention to if they're doing a full duct clean. Sometimes it could take up to 2 to 3 days to do a full duct clean.
For them to they blow them out. They change the filters.
Yes, everything.
So you're telling us to keep our ducts in a row.
Keep your ducts in a row. I also use an air purifier in my bedroom. I don't know if any of you have allergies or your kids.
Yes.
But having an air purifier, those are huge upgrades that you can do every day. Simple.
Empowering.
Yeah. There's a lot we can do that can really open big doors and help us live a lot healthier.
Well, the other thing that's been really helpful to Diana and myself, Dan, I'm going to speak for you here, is Karen's matcha energy bars.
Yes. Yes,
which she has.
Right
there we go. There it is. In collaboration with none other than Matcha.com. And they are absolutely delicious. I try my best not to eat packaged goods that have more than a dozen ingredients on them. So it's just so amazing to have something that I'm just like, I know this is exactly what's in it. You can taste each and every single ingredient. And as a busy mom, it's just great to be able to grab something that I know is going to give me energy and not make me crash later on.
Yeah.
I don't even like bars, and I love this bar. Like, I'm not a bar person. Like, I don't want a bar, but I have been reaching for these bars almost every day because I've been hungry, and they're delicious. I love them. And they have, 6 grams of fiber in them?
Yeah, there's 6 grams of fiber, there's protein, 5 grams of fiber, there's 8 grams of protein. It's just matcha, almonds, cacao chunks without sugar, dates, and cherries. It's like
Karen,
tastes like a chocolate cherry bar.
I'm sold.
It's so good. Yeah, John, you got to try some. Before we started this podcast, you were sharing a little bit about the journey to get to these bars. And can you I think it's so funny. Can you tell us how hard you work to get these bars?
I think we've been working on this for close to 2 years. So we would talk about the ingredients that we want in the bars. And this was something that Dr. Weil wanted to have along with his matcha. He wanted to have something sweet and delicious because I make these homemade bars, and I think he really likes my homemade goods. So he wanted to let's make a matcha bar. So it was 28 versions, and we would make it, sent it to the team. What do you think? Everyone else is like, yeah, thumbs up, thumbs up. Andy says, not sweet enough. Go back to the drawing board, make it sweeter, add more maple syrup. What can we do here? We kept coming back, and he kept wanting him to be sweeter. And then, we finally got it right.
And I love them because it does taste like a treat, but it's not overly sweet. It doesn't feel indulgent. I mean, it does, but it's not actually indulgent.
It's not really that sweet at all. Because we had just a little bit maple syrup, and then we had just a little bit more. But it is really just a delicious bar. It's got the matcha. It's got all those antioxidants. It's, got L-theanine, which gives you this calm alertness, and you don't get the crash with matcha. I hope it's a success.
I love putting mine in the fridge because I find that when I have them cold, it brings out the sweetness.
Yeah, me too. I keep them cold.
And
so good.
Karen, you were one of the first early supporters of matcha. Weren't you buying caseloads of matcha at the start?
Okay, so that's another funny story. When I saw Andy, when I knew that the matcha product had just come out, I bought, oh my God, I'm embarrassed to tell you how much money I spent on matcha, but it was well over $1,000. And Andre reached out to Andy, and he's like, some woman in Chicago just bought $1,500 worth of matcha. And Andy goes, oh, I think I know who it is.
Matcha exists because of Karen.
Oh my God. I drink it every day. I give it to people. I love this matcha. It is so high quality. It's organic. It's just beautiful, bright green, and so delicious. I've been drinking it every day.
It's
and
one
now we've got these incredible bars.
Yeah. Yep. Now I add a little bit of creatine to it now for some brain health and to support muscle, and can't taste it. Sometimes I'll add a little collagen, and just great. It's my favorite morning drink.
So versatile. I love it.
Yeah.
And now we can eat it too.
And we can
That's right.
Well, Karen, I mean, truly, we say this about pretty much everyone who comes on here, but I actually do have about 100 more questions for you. But we are running out of time. So we always like to end our podcast with 2 questions. We did not prep you for these. But feel free to take as much time you need to answer. So the first question is, what is a life lesson that you have had to learn the hard way?
Boundaries. Still working on that. Boundaries are so healthy. It is a part of overall health and your mental health, and healthy boundaries are really you expressing what's okay and what's not okay. And going through this health coaching journey, with my own health coaching team during my training, that was what, when I peel back the layers of the onion, that was what I really learned about myself is I don't have clear boundaries. It's a journey, but I'm working on it.
Our follow-up question we like to ask after that is, what is a mantra of yours right now? Maybe something that you picked up from some family or friend that's really serving you at the moment.
I think I tell myself, you are good enough just the way you are. It's all good. You are good enough.
We should say that to ourselves more often, shouldn't we? Karen, once again, thank you so much for the last hour. It's been really informative, and I hope that we can drag you back on here for another episode because, as Diana said, we have lots of more questions that we didn't even have a chance to get to today.
I would love it. That would be really fun. We can talk about longevity protocols.
Yes. So if someone wants to work with you, where can they find you, and where can people find the bars?
So my website is KarenMalkin.com, KarenMalkin.com. And that's where they can find me and the bars, and also at Matcha Guardians, matcha.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Karen. You are just, such an incredible guest and someone that I have always looked up to. We are so grateful to have had you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was really fun. Great seeing you.
Bye.
Bye.
Sip, savor, and live well with new episodes of the Matcha Guardians every Wednesday. Follow our show for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're listening right now. Leave your questions and comments below. Find us on Instagram at The Matcha Guardians or click on matcha.com.